Next, from the governor's office in the state capitol, Governor Pat Quinn comments on the special session of the legislature and why he felt that his idea of forming a conference committee was the appropriate solution to solving the state's pension funding crisis. This runs about 20 minutes.
Appreciate everyone coming, and have a few things to say. Be glad to answer any questions. We had a very good meeting today with all the legislative leaders, and I've set July 9th, that's a Tuesday, as a deadline for the General Assembly to propose a comprehensive pension reform agreement that can be put on my desk and passed into law. And that provides about 3 weeks for the conference committee that has been established now by the legislature. I proposed this idea last Friday as a way to break the gridlock, bridge the differences, forge an agreement. I think 3 weeks is sufficient time for the legislature to work hard on this matter. I told all the leaders that our staff stands ready to work night and day between now and the first part of July there to help them in any way with background information, whatever they need. But the 10 members of this conference committee, good and true, have to work in good faith and bridge the differences that the House and Senate have on this particular issue. I don't think there's been a conference committee in the history of Illinois that is more important than this one. So I expect the leaders to appoint their very best people and those men and women to work very hard for the common good, for the public interest, because this particular issue of public pension reform is paramount if we're going to move our economy and our state forward. Our children depend on us. They're expecting us to do the right thing for them and their futures. I was at a graduation last night of the largest high school in Illinois, Lane Tech High School, 893 young men and women going forth in the world, going on to greater things, and I want to make sure they have a good future, and all the young people of Illinois have a good future, and that's why it's so important that our legislators work on this conference committee and put on my desk a comprehensive public pension reform that we can sign into law. This must be a comprehensive bill. I will not sign anything that's piecemeal. It must be one that fully funds 100% the liability that we have to deal with, and it covers all the necessary elements in order to be comprehensive. Lots and lots of folks have talked about this issue. We've had working groups. We've reached across the aisle and worked with all kinds of different people and institutions to get information, to help people along in the legislature. But now is the moment of truth. Today, the conference committee was established by the act of the House and the Senate. It had to be done. They had to be here in Springfield in order to put this process in motion. And conference committees began in this country with the very first Congress long ago. It was 1789. One of their first acts was to have a conference committee, the men and women who started this country. And so I think it's important we lesson from that history that when people have honest differences of opinion, there needs to be compromise in order to promote the public good, the common interest of the great number of people that we have in our state. And so we're embarked on that process. We have to have a reasonable deadline. And I think Tuesday, July 9th, I made it very clear to the leaders today, provides enough time to do the study necessary, to forge the compromises and the agreement necessary to get the job done for the people. The legislators, when they're leaving Springfield here today, should realize they have unfinished business. And they have to finish the business of the people of Illinois. And in the next several weeks, we expect them to do that. We're going to have the 4th of July, not too long from now. That celebrates our country's independence, the Declaration of Independence. When we told King George we believe in a democracy, government of the people, by the people. Abraham Lincoln believed in that. And it's time for the government of the people to operate for the people. And I think the actions today is a mechanism, a vehicle to try and forge the agreement necessary to put this issue to a solution and to help move our state forward. Glad to answer any questions.
Why are you
3
so
weeks isn't
confident
enough,
that
and I'm
this
gonna look
why
at
are
it.
you so confident this process will work when the years of talk have not produced a compromise?
Well, I think it is the official way to bridge differences between two houses of the legislature. We have a bicameral legislature. There's one state with a unicameral legislature, Nebraska. But we have two houses of legislature, and obviously they had different points of view. And I think it's important now that they reconcile and bridge the differences. There are ways to do that. We began that conversation today, and I think it's important that the 10 men and women on this conference committee understand how important their job is. It's an important mission to come up with an agreement that can get 30 votes in the Senate, 60 votes in the House, and do the job for the people, the comprehensive reform that we absolutely have to have. We can't have anything that's piecemeal. And so I want to just say, in Illinois, this has worked. It's worked in Washington on very important legislation in our country's history and definitely our state's history. Not that long ago, we passed a non-discrimination law that used the conference committee. So it's not often that this comes about, but given the priority that the issue of pension reform is to the people, I think this is the best mechanism to resolve the differences. I suggested it to the legislators, the leaders on Friday. It was my idea. I proposed it to them. And at first, I know there was a little questioning, but I was very glad to see the leaders come together and agree that this is a mechanism to get the job done, to finish the business of the people.
Governor, what indication do you have that the two legislative leaders, Cullerton and Madigan, are any further along than the my way or the highway stance they've taken over? Why are you optimistic now?
Well, I was encouraged by the fact they agreed to have a conference committee. They were obviously at odds, and there was some discord, clearly. But it's important now for every person who takes an oath of office, especially the leaders, to understand that the people come first. The taxpayers come first. $17 million a day is being lost when it comes to a lack of action on pension reform. And so we can't afford that to continue. It hurts our economy and it hurts our future in Illinois. And I'm hopeful that the leaders of the legislature have realized that forging a compromise and an agreement is absolutely imperative for the people of Illinois.
Governor, some suggest...
Will your office communicate with this committee in any way, or will you aim to direct them in any way?
Well, I hope there are an opportunity for hearings. I'm sure that several of the leaders indicated that they thought that would be appropriate. I think that's very helpful. I think anyone who wishes to speak about the issue should be given an opportunity in one way or another to come forward, to present written information or anything they feel is important for the 10 members of the conference committee to do their job. But they don't have an eternity to do their job. I want to make that clear that this is urgent. This is an emergency. We're in a crisis in Illinois, and in a crisis you don't run in place and meander along. So it's important that the conference committee understand that there must be action, and I think by January or July 9th, 3 weeks hence, that's sufficient time for them to do their job.
Well, are you still pushing the provisions outlined in Senate Bill 1?
Well, I was for Senate Bill 1. I called many senators about that, both Democrat and Republican. I heard from various points of view there. What I heard a lot was many members of the Senate want to compromise. They understand that the essence of sometimes passing an important law is to forge agreement, sometimes where people have different points of view. And I heard that a lot from the senators. So I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by the fact that the House, in its vote today, decided that a conference committee is that crowbar necessary to break the gridlock. We have legislative gridlock on this issue. There's no bill on my desk that I can sign into law. And if I could have done an executive order to resolve this, I would have done it, and I would have done it a long time ago. But it takes the legislature to act. And when they're in gridlock, well, we need a crowbar. And that's what we have today. The conference committee is that crowbar to break open the gridlock, the legislative gridlock, and get the job done for the people. The people come first. The taxpayers are first. And they want real action on a $100 billion pension liability that our state has.
Governor,
if they miss the deadline? What if it's such a big job it takes more than 3 weeks to do?
Well, they've had ample time to work on this issue. I've been working on it for the last couple of years. We've had many different legislative work groups and sessions and meetings and press conferences, and everybody's had a chance to really study these issues. I don't think it's going to take longer than the 3 weeks I've outlined for the legislature to put a bill on my desk. They have to work in good faith. They have to bridge differences, and that can be done. We're happy to help. I have good staff members who get along with people and who are smart and have good intelligence, and they'll help. And we all have to put our shoulder to the wheel to get it done.
Well, it sounds like July 9th is a real hard deadline to you, and that moving it or getting an extension is a non-starter. Why is that so, and why is 3 weeks the right time?
We can't afford to wait. It's $17 million a day added to the liability of our pension in Illinois that is now $100 billion. So this issue has been vexing Illinois, our state, for some years. And I was the first governor to pay the full amount every year into the pension account. For years and years, that didn't always happen. And too often there were things that were done that aggravated the situation rather than resolving it. So now is the time, the moment in history, this is the moment to resolve and solve this pension challenge. And so I'm prepared to work with the good members of this committee, this conference committee, and their leaders to get it done.
Governor, how do you respond to critics who say that this committee process is more about saving face for you coming into a special session where you knew you weren't going to get it?
No, I don't think that's true at all. It's not about me or any member of the legislature. It's about the people of Illinois. And I think the idea that I came up with of using the conference committee has a great history in our country as well as our state at bridging differences and resolving conflicts and ending discord. And a lot of that was going on with this pension matter in the legislature. They were, always not getting the job done for the people. So this is a mechanism that I think is a good one to resolve the problem. Now, I think it's important to have a deadline. To just think this is going to last in perpetuity is not the way it's going to go. The legislature and the members of the legislature have to understand that if they don't come up through the committee with a solid package by the 9th, they're not doing their job.
But what's the guarantee that there's going to be a compromise and Madigan can appoint his people, Fullerton can appoint his people, you can still have the same stalemate that you have now?
Well, I met with the legislative leaders of both parties and both houses. I think they know how serious this is. I certainly tried myself to impress upon them this is a urgent crisis, and it cannot be delayed, solution. And so I don't think there's any doubt that the members of the legislature understand that this is not going away. They have to do their job. If on the 9th of July they haven't done their job, they're really letting the people of Illinois down. And that is not what you should do if you're elected to any office. You must be true to the people. And that's why I have hope that the conference committee will be the mechanism, the vehicle, to forge an agreement that gets a majority vote in both houses and onto my desk a comprehensive reform that will serve our state well.
Governor, that's a deadline of another item going on around here, concealed carry. Where are you on that?
Well, we're studying that bill. That bill is a complex one, and it deserves full and complete review. Deals with public safety, and that's going on as we speak.
Are we meeting that deadline? Are we meeting that deadline, or do we need more time?
Well, obviously, the court has given us guidance in that area, and so we'll pay attention to that.
Governor, from a purely logistical standpoint, we know that these analyses on the savings for these pension reform bills take several weeks. So it seems to me like 3 weeks might not be enough time. And as a follow-up to that, is that a hitch in the plan? And what will you do if there's no reform by the 9th? I mean, will you call them back again?
Well, we don't want to use any kind of excuses on this issue. I think it's very clear that we've done many studies and many scoring schedules have been prepared. We have all the variables, in my opinion. We need to kind of put the ingredients together to come up with something that's comprehensive, that resolves the problem for the people. Piecemeal doesn't work. We want a comprehensive plan. I'm very confident we can come up with the proper scoring, as it's called, and get it done.
We call lawmakers back if nothing is done by the 9th.
I expect them to have a plan by the 9th of July or earlier possible, that we can have a vote, and then it gets to my desk and we'll have a signing ceremony and we'll move on to many other issues.
Governor, what are your thoughts on, relative to SB1, the constitutionality of it? Are you concerned, not concerned?
Well, I feel that it was constitutional, and I pushed hard for that particular bill that passed the House, did not get enough votes in the Senate. And when that happens, in democracies, you have to understand that you need a majority in both houses to pass a bill. So you have to have what we outlined today, a conference committee that tries to bridge the differences between the two houses elected by the people and come up with something that both houses can pass. So that's where we're at. I think we have to always emphasize that we need to get this whole job done. This is not going to be something we do a little bit on and say, wait till next year. We have to really roll up our sleeves in the next several weeks and get the job done. We're prepared to work whatever it takes, night and day, over the weekend. We've done this before on other bills. Matter of fact, there was one bill a couple years ago dealing with Medicaid restructuring. Our folks and the legislators worked through Christmas and Christmas Eve and Christmas, all that. They knew how important it was to the people. It's very difficult for folks to sometimes take them out of the schedule if they're in the legislature, but that's what they volunteered to do.
Have you sought the opinion of the Attorney General regarding which plans are more constitutional?
Well, I think we're always interested in the opinion of the Attorney General on any issue.
Do you think she should come out and say?
It's up to her. It's up to her. I think, opining is always a good thing.
Governor, when people criticize you, as you well know, I'm sure you've read the reports, as far as your leadership style, how would you describe your own leadership style on the pension issue to get the sides together? What have you done?
Well, nobody until now, no governor until now, has even really addressed this issue in a comprehensive way. There have been piecemeal efforts in the past. We're trying to do it all and do it right. And I think it's very hard. It's like scaling a tall mountain. I ran cross country in high school. At one of the courses, you had to run up a toboggan run. That's what this is, a very tall race. But we'll succeed, I think, because we believe in the people of Illinois that they will come ahead. They're the ones we're fighting for. And I'm optimistic about that, that the people, when all is said and done, come first.
Thank you.
Okay? All right, thanks a lot, you guys. See you later.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.